little bitch, now shout.
We were only 7 together every night.
Pull up,
But we are not 7 with you. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea and I'll get my ping pong.
This is dead heavy, can't hear the bass boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat shade like money.
This go overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow.
Hey, so let's go.
'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light.
Hey,
Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite.
whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd, whoever wanna come along. Word up, talk, just move right up the wall. Their light, sky's the light, so we dance to the breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the medicine, so you should keep your eyes on the ball.
This is getting heavy. Can you hear the bass boom? I'm ready.
Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat shade like money.
At this go overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm down, you know I glow.
And let's go.
'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light.
Hey,
Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite.
whoa,
Life is dynamite. Life is dynamite. Shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Light it up, dynamite. Light it up, dynamite. 'Cause I'm in stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. This is so watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little fucking soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite.
Hi everyone,
It's ARMY time! Did
We're
we
never
do it
going to
right?
be in sync.
No, did we do it right?
We did, but we weren't perfectly in sync. One day we'll get there, like with the bang, tan, and they do it at the exact same like time.
Yeah,
We'll get the
but then
timing
you
one
know
day.
how like lazy they got?
Yeah, and now it's just like bang, tan, tan, tan.
Yeah, everyone's just
Yeah.
like, hi, bye time. Yeah, the other thing is that like when they've realized that they get really lazy and then not one of them suggested to fix it. They were just
I
like,
think it doesn't matter anymore, does it? Like it's like we don't have to be so like I remember when they spoke about it in that interview when they were watching like an early video of themselves, weren't they? And they were like, oh my god, look how we did it back then, because it was like bang, turn, and they like proper like did it, and they were like, why did we do it like that? Why were we so enthusiastic about it? Because they wanted to show this like hardcore image of like, yeah, we're shooting a gun,
we're
It's so
disciplined.
Yeah.
We got our shit together.
And now it's just like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah. To be fair though, like the whole like introduction thing, I think is very like it's Korean, it's a K-pop
Yes.
thing. And
Yes.
when I first, was introduced to it, I was like, okay, all right, so they do this, whatever. And then over time, if you look at any other group, it's actually
Yeah.
really nice that they introduce themselves, because then you're like, oh, okay, here's who you are. You know, you may look different, you changed your outfits, your hair, your whatever, but you've still said your name. Okay, now I can match your name to the music that you perform.
Yeah, and it's just a very common thing, isn't it? Like, and it's, I don't know, I guess it's a way of presenting yourself. Like, it's kind of like in the old days when they were like, please welcome Miss blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, whatever.
Yeah. But then like in the West, for example, they don't do that.
No.
And there's pros and cons to that as well, because the pro...
I mean...
Like, pro is that it's more natural. The con is that if nobody knows who you are, they continue not to know who you are. Unless they
kind of do, but they do it more in like a, hi, I'm Billy. Like, that's it. Like,
oh, yeah.
They don't have a specific, like, catchphrase, like, intro. Whereas, like, in K-pop groups, they tend to have, like, a rehearsed one that signifies the like, because they have a symbol, like Bangtan have the gun, and they, like, have, like, I think... Tomorrow by Together might be the only one that I know, but there's some, they say one dream, and then they have this like weird like thingy. It's like kind of like, oh yeah, it's like this. So it's like TXT, and then it's like they say one dream, and you say and then they're like Tomorrow by Together. So like it has kind of like the meaning of their group and like the symbol of their group. So like,
I guess it's a good way to like bookend like your appearance somewhere, because then everybody knows exactly like what frame of mind to be in. Yeah,
because it's kind of like the overall message of what you're doing. Like I think Tomorrow by Together, from what I know about them, they like their name means something about like
we're going into the future together, right?
Together, like we share the same dream for tomorrow together, or something like that. So it's like we have one shared dream, and that's why they say one dream. And then with like with Bangtan, it's like we're bulletproof, like you can't stop us. Like, and then they have like the TXT, and then BTS have their like gun. It's like we're bulletproof bitches, you can't get us. So it definitely gives like a
BTS. They're all about loving yourself and thinking about your
Bitch,
identity.
Here's my gun. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part.
Same. They're so like multifaceted. Like they're like, oh, everything.
And they don't explain it, and they're unapologetic. They're like, hi, we're BTS. Here's our gun.
Anyway, I saw the funniest tweet that like really did make me laugh. Like it's kind of used a lot. It's like BTS were like click click bang banging from the beginning. Like, and it is so funny when you think about it. Like in their song, they're literally like click click bang bang, and it is. But it is also very interesting because you can analyze it as like we are coming for you, and you can also analyze it like, bitch, you can shoot at us, we're not going to take it. Like it has very multifaceted meanings. It's also quite interesting.
I'm sure that's exactly
or it's
what
just
they were
a gun
going for.
And they're boys and they just want to shoot things,
Probably a collection of all three of them.
Yeah.
And then
not to generalize boys, by the way, Anyway.
I like guns.
Yeah, guns. I don't like guns, but I like them in games. I like shooting things in games, just not in real life.
Anyway, we've gone like completely off the rails here. Let's start over.
What were we even talking about?
Our
like,
intro.
How did this even start?
Our own intro. Which
our own intro. Right. Wait, we should come up with an actual intro then to like signify the
with
thing.
guns.
With guns. It's army time, bitches. Bang bang. Or like, welcome to army time. I mean, Jimin does that in Dynamite. This is chaotic. What's happening?
I'm gonna legit think about this because I think we should do it.
Yeah, like hands up, it's army time. That should be our new intro. Oh wait, no, I've got it.
What?
You do what I just did. No, with the words.
Hands up, it's army time.
That's what we should do for our new intro.
What's wrong with us?
And each time we can switch, and then I'll shoot a gun at you the next time.
And then my reaction, we can have like random reactions every time.
Yeah, each time we can have a different reaction. Okay, let's do this. Because jazz hands become put them up. Amazing. I'm on board.
All right, anyway,
okay.
I don't know what we're talking about. How have you been?
I've been good. What have I been doing? as you know, I have been riding through the countryside on my horse. I have been, shooting up trains, stealing stuff, doing all of these things because I have been doing nothing but play Red Dead Redemption for days on end. Like, I wake up, I turn on my PlayStation, I play Red Dead Redemption for 10 hours, and then I go to bed. Like, I got obsessed with it, and I haven't stopped. And yeah, so that's mainly what I've been doing with my life. And I also wrote some music, so that was something productive.
Yes, you wrote the most amazing song. I want more of it. I need you to, I don't know, make 8,000 minutes of it, and then I will be satisfied.
Yeah, I will send it to you when it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing. What are you doing? What have you been doing?
I am moving, so I'm in process of packing up my house. I think this will be the last episode I film here. So
new backdrop.
Goodbye this setup. I have no idea what my new setup is going to look like. We'll figure it out.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, excited to see.
Yeah, so doing that, and I don't know, I think that's pretty much it. I did binge watch The Boys, which I ranted about on Twitter because frickin' Sleepy recommended it, the producer of my time, who likes to play with us armies on Twitter.
Yes, he's the best.
Yes. And it was really good. And oh my god, I just realized there's another episode that is available for me to go watch. So the minute we finish recording, I'm going to go watch that next episode.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. I can't wait for things. I'm terrible at having we can watch the next episode next week. The only show I've ever done that for is Game of Thrones. And that's because I used to wake up at 3 a.m. because that's when it came out my time.
Oh,
every week.
Because it was 9 p.m. here, which would be 2, 3.
Oh, no, so it was 4 a.m. my time.
No.
If it was
9 p.m. plus 5
Oh,
is
yeah,
2
yeah.
a.m.
Plus 5. 2 a.m. Okay. So I used to wake up in the middle of the night every night to watch Game of Thrones at that time, and I'd go downstairs and turn on my TV and try and be quiet and be like, oh my god, Game of Thrones. That's the only show. Yeah, basically. And I would sit there trying to be quiet but be like, oh my god, Jon Snow. Basically.
And then that show didn't end well.
And then it literally tore my heart out, stomped on it, ripped it into 1,000 tiny little pieces, bludgeoned my head in, and made me lose the will to live.
Yeah, all we can wait is for the book to be better.
Yes! I'm so excited for the next book. It's one of my favorite series of all time, A Song of Ice and Fire. I fucking love it so much.
We don't have any free time for anything. You and I both have so many ongoing projects for this channel.
Yeah. And for outside of the channel, you're writing, my music, and then your job, and I'm getting back to uni.
My job is an optional thing. I don't know. One day, I envy those people who have enough time and discipline to fit everything they need into the day. I don't work like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go talk about BTS.
Let's. So, as we started this episode with, we had so much amazing news with Dynamite. Dynamite is done so well. 2 weeks and number one.
Yes.
The first time, when it was announced first time, it was when our episode came out last time, and we were all freaking out.
Yeah, in the live
distracted.
Chat. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry, past me and past you. I stopped paying attention, and all the people in the chat, I stopped reading your comments.
Yeah. I
was freaking out.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things that I find interesting, because you can find armies on any social media platform. We exist everywhere, and there's a little corner of ARMY wherever you go. But there are some platforms where you can find us dominating the app.
Yes.
And that would be Twitter.
Yes.
And it used to be that that was because that was the closest way and the most direct way you could communicate with BTS. They had,
and also because it's a great promo technique.
Yeah, but just BTS and the Big Hit Twitter, their official BTS Twitter, and all the other supporting ones, we're all on there. So, and everybody was engaging on there. So you were on the front lines of news from BTS, and then you could talk about it with everyone. And then now we have Weverse, and now BTS has recently become more adept at promoting on Instagram, which I like how somewhat, but better than they used to be. So
and TikTok.
Yeah, and Facebook is kind of
Facebook.
Yeah, but so it's very cool to be on Twitter right as the news from like Billboard drops or whatever, because everyone is talking about it at the same time and freaking out about it at the same time. And it's just like this virtual celebration simultaneously going on everywhere in the world at once.
Yes, and everybody just freaks out. And it's like what Jin said in their press conference about like, we celebrate everything together. Like we work hard to achieve something together, and then we celebrate together. And when we go through bad times, we are sad together. And it's what brings the fandom and BTS together so much, is like, because it's true, like they work so hard to create Dynamite and to promote it, and we work so hard to like chart
to stream
it,
and to promote it ourselves.
To promote it, yeah, exactly. And it's very true. Like we all work really hard to try and do this, and then when the victory comes, it's all of our victory, and we all celebrate together all over the world. And it's such a nice thing, and I love it. I love being a part of it. I love when I go on my Twitter and just everyone is like emulating the same emotions that I'm emulating, and it just feels so interactive.
So we were talking about this before, about how like, you know, the relationship between BTS and ARMY is very different. It's a very different relationship between fan and artist than in the past. Do you feel like this reaction from ARMY, like when we chart and like the amount of work that we do, like is part of that whole, like this is more of a collaborative relationship in some sense?
I completely agree. Yeah, I definitely think so, because I think that when an artist is kind of at the top and they're doing all the work and then you're just a consumer, it's like you are on two sides, like whether you're here and here or whether you're up and down, like you are doing different things. One is producing, promoting, and the other is consuming. And so you have these two differing sides, but when you have both doing kind of the same thing, it becomes a team effort. Like, and somebody's referred to it as like a grassroots movement before, and I very much agree. I think that ARMY is very much a grassroots movement. They go out of their way to give time, resources, money, all of that to promoting and helping their music. So it's the same way as like, what do you call it when like somebody, like a filmmaker, crowdsourcing? It's like crowdsourcing. When an independent filmmaker wants to make a film, they will crowdsource and they will ask fans or the like general public to contribute in any way they can, whether that be financially, whether that be with their skill set, whether that be with their time, and that becomes like a project, and that all of these people are participating in and being a part of. And so when you are doing that, you feel like it's your movie almost, like you're a part of it. You helped to make this, and it's more a thing for the people.
You've invested a part of yourself in it, along with whoever is creating it. Yeah.
So their win is your win. And that's the same with BTS. Like when a different artist might get like #1, you'll be like, oh, that's great. I'm really happy for them. I love that artist. They deserve to get #1. When BTS gets #1, it's like, we did it. We worked together. We did it. We got #1. And not only is it the fandom that feels that way, but BTS actively like presents that way of thinking. Yes, like this is your award too. You deserve congratulations as well. You should be celebrated as well because we did it together. Like, and it goes back to their metaphor of like, we're not standing on a mountain with you pushing us from behind. We're holding hands and walking up it together. And this is a very rare structure between like creator and audience. Normally it's separate. It's two of the same. Normally one is in the top of the structure and one is in the bottom of the structure.
And you don't feel like you have any influence over them, so you kind of lose interest.
Yeah, and I guess you might still have interest, but you just don't have a personal investment. Like,
yeah, I mean, I say that because like any other pop music, any other artist, like as much as I might like it, or I usually don't, especially if it's like Western pop. But I just go like, this has nothing to do with me. There's someone behind the scenes pushing these artists and promoting them. I can just sit back here and go, oh, I like this song. Oh, I don't like this song. And I don't care about what the artist thinks of my opinion. I can just, exist. Versus with BTS, I treat them a lot of the time, I find, as if they are my long distance friend on the other side of the world, and they make music, and I want them to know that I support them and that I think that their efforts and their final product is amazing and I'm proud of them. And I look for ways that I can communicate that to them. And because I'm just one person somewhere in the world, it's very hard for just me to communicate with them. But collectively with ARMY Everywhere, by charting the song at #1, in different charts around the country, by doing these kinds of things, that is us collectively communicating to them that we are all proud, we all support them, and we all think the world of them.
Yeah, and I think that's one element of it. But I'd say there's another element of it, which is we believe in your message and we want to spread it. Like, we think that this music should be given recognition, should be delivered to the world. So I feel like one side of it is like, we want to do this for you. We want you to feel good. We're proud of you. And the other is, we love this product so much and want it to do well and want to share it. And I think it's just very special, and it's a very incredible way of being as artists and fan, and very rare. And you see it everywhere. You even see it in things like politics. Like if you have a politician who is just very much, I make the decisions, everyone else follows. It's more like a bloody, what do you call it? The opposite of a democracy.
Dictator.
A dictatorship, yeah. It's more like a dictatorship than a democracy. So I feel like and even though democracy is still a bit meh.
Yeah, well, you could also call it an autocracy.
Yeah, but like with BTS, it's very much, we are going to do this together. You can invest directly in us and be a part of this and can contribute to this. And part of the way that fans do this is through all of their content. Like, we're creating this podcast, for example. People make fan art, people write fan fiction, people like make videos and remixes and all of these things. Like that creates a network of like multiple pieces of art forming the world of BTS. Like, and it's just such a more personalized experience that way, because you can actively get involved rather than just sitting back and being shoved things to like contribute.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I'm thinking of how, we're talking about Dynamite promo, and as part of their promo, they went and did a bunch of interviews. BTS did.
Yes.
And Namjoon was asked in one of them, like, why do you think this song made it, now? And he talked about how, like, well, this song, wasn't technically supposed to exist because we were going to be on tour at this time before COVID hit. This wasn't in the plans. And he talks about how, like, it has a simpler message, and it resonated with a lot of people because of that.
It's an easy, familiar genre.
Yeah, and I'm like, yes, I agree with that. But I also think BTS reaching #1 on the Billboard charts was inevitable.
I agree. And this is, I actually really agree with you. And I think this is something that, like, I hope they don't think that it was just because they made an English song or an easier genre. Like, I hope they know that it would have got #1. I mean, maybe not straight away, because the radio play and the playlisting definitely really helped this time around. I think we would have got higher than On, so maybe 3, 2, and maybe even 1. But it would have happened. And
well, here's my business perspective on it, right? So you had my dear Brian Rowley, who wrote his article talking about how this success of this song, like, you have to assume that more fans have become part of the fandom since their last release of On, between February and now in September. And he was like, it's either that or everybody suddenly became a lot richer. And I'm like, yeah, pretty sure we got more fans. And if you think about it, you have all those baby ARMYs who were like, oh, I watched them on the Carpool Karaoke and Jimmy Fallon and all of the appearances they've done this year, more towards the beginning of the year, and people fell down that rabbit hole. Had the pandemic not happened and BTS had gone on tour, there would have been even more promo and even more opportunities for people to fall down that rabbit hole. So that's why I say, like, the amount that the fandom has grown between February and now might have been even more exponential had BTS been going around the world and promoting themselves even more than they did this year. And from that standpoint alone, I'm like, your fandom was growing, and it grew. it is inevitable, I feel like, for our fandom to keep growing, because all it takes is a song of BTS's, an appearance of BTS's,
Yes.
A show of theirs to catch your attention. And it speaks for itself with how good it is, how charismatic they are, how magnetic their personalities are. And everybody says it's just falling down the rabbit hole, because they're not people that are hard to like. They're not people who are, you know, like hard to find interest. They reel you in. They make you want to know more, to enjoy more of their content. And then it just happens.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah. I think that BTS is going to wait and judge themselves as artists with their new album release, to see how well their Korean songs do in comparison to Dynamite, to figure out if it was because it was an English song. Yeah,
and I mean, it's definitely that, but it another factor without a doubt would have been like the radio play, the playlisting, the remixes, like targeting Western markets, like that definitely would have contributed as well. But it's like you say, like I feel like we are consistently improving. Like every song of theirs that comes out gets slowly higher and higher and higher. Like it would have happened eventually. And I just really hope that we can show them with the next song, because I feel like they still to this day feel very fragile in the Western music industry. Like, oh, well, we got the number one, our dreams have come true. It's like, but you could keep getting number ones. Like everything you release, we'll keep working hard, and you could keep getting them, and you can cement yourself as a part of this industry because you belong there and you have a place there. And I feel like everything to them still to this day seems very unreal and very like temperamental. Like, how long is this gonna last? But
and to that point, I think you're right that they do feel like that, and I would say it's because they're trying to deal with a market and a different culture than what they are familiar with. I think the way the music industry works in the West, in America, is much different than how it works in Korea, and understanding the kinds of appearances that you need to have, the kinds of leverage you need to have in order to be able to get the radio play you want. Like the fact that iHeart fucking tanked because of the pandemic, and all these businesses pulling out their advertising money made iHeart desperate for new ways to earn money. And then it just so happened that BTS did a live stream of their performances and broke a Guinness World Record of most attendees for musical live stream. So like the cards just fell that way, where BTS finally had the leverage to force iHeart to give them the radio play that they have long deserved.
The thing about it is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we've spoken about this before, if they have a type of imposter syndrome of like, because people haven't made them feel welcome. Like they've been treated like a commodity. They've been treated like a one-hit wonder until it wasn't, and then like
until one-hit wonder where every one of their hits is another hit.
Exactly. Like at first it was very much, they're a one-hit wonder, this is a commodity, kind of like with Gangnam Style. And then as that began becoming less apparent, because they kept succeeding and getting better and better and better, it was like, oh, they have a big fan base, like that's why they're doing so well. But like they're still treated as like an outsider, as something. And like whether you do it in a fascinated way or not, if you're like, how interesting, this is so different, this is something I've never seen before, and people like this and I wonder why, like you're still treating them as other. Like it's very othering. Like, and they have experienced that their entire career in the West, and it's a common practice, unfortunately, in all walks of life. And yeah, I mean, I think that's why they feel so fragile in it. But all we can do with that is keep working hard for them, keep supporting them, and until maybe one day they don't feel that way. Because the thing is, they felt that way in Korea. They were ostracized, they were outsiders, they were othered in Korea because they were from a smaller company. And eventually it got to the point when everyone had to cater to them. They realized their own worth and they knew that it wasn't them that was wrong, it was the industry. And the exact same pattern is happening all over again. And the way I see it is it just takes time, one step at a time, keep moving forward, and we can change things. And I think I see that happening.
I agree with you completely. Namjoon even said in one interview, I can't remember where, but he said that it was something about how through music and the fact that their music breaks cultural barriers, language barriers, and it religions, and it brings people together, is just proof that to understand others through music is to be more human. Humans become more human when they let down their prejudices and things that create a barrier between them and other people.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they probably went through the process themselves because they grew up in a culture that isn't the most diverse and doesn't have many different perspectives. So them becoming such a global phenomenon and traveling to so many places and cultures and learning about all these things, they probably went through that process themselves. And then by the end of it was like, wow, my entire life and mindset has been expanded and opened up intensely by all the different experiences and perspectives and cultures that I have interacted with. And that's why I think BTS is so important. It's that, and why they've spoken to me so much. I've gained a different perspective from knowing them. And I don't know, I just think it happens, it's slow, but it will happen. That's how change happens. The fuse is lit, and make them believe that they belong and they are important.
I think you phrase it very well. The fuse is lit. We can't undo what's already happened. It's only going to snowball from here. This is a social movement that is just going to continue to move forward, because I think
there's no stopping it from happening.
At heart, inherently, humans do not want to be divided. We want to feel part of a greater whole. We want to feel like we belong to a community, and we want to feel like we are not judged for our differences. We are instead united by our commonalities. So the idea that I don't agree with. No, I know the world, when people are afraid, they like to put up walls. But I also think that humans are very social, and none of us want to be lonely. So when you discover BTS and you discover the fandom and you discover the fact that diversity is acknowledged and celebrated, and also it's just a given when we have such a global fandom, you feel like you belong. And so if we can continue to promote that kind of respect for one another's diversity through supporting BTS's acceptance and acknowledgement in the West despite their diversity, I think we all have a personal sense of investment in that.
There's a purpose, exactly. And this goes back to what I was saying before about how you believe in their message and you want to spread it. You want to spread this feeling of welcoming difference, destroying boundaries. Supporting BTS is fighting prejudice, is fighting oppression, is wanting to make the world more connected and accepting. And I think that's why I was drawn into BTS so much in the beginning, because that's always been my philosophy, but I've never really seen it. The world is so divisive, as you said last episode. A lot of the time, all you see and all you are presented with is division. And then BTS came into my life and represented all the values that I held dear, all the things that mattered to me. And supporting them is my small way of supporting change. And obviously, there's other ways of doing this as well, but
through all the charities,
feels that way.
Through all the charities, for example, that One and an ARMY runs, and all the other birthday projects that people do for charities.
Yeah, it's very progressive. It's a very progressive and impactful community, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And I have people that don't understand that. I have friends or whatever that I say I'm a fan of BTS, and they kind of look at me funny, or oh, you're part of the fandom for a boy group or whatever, or you like K-pop or blah blah blah. It's so much more than that to me. Before anything else, my whole like major and work is culture and society and literature and music, and BTS represents all of those things and all of the things that I value and believe in. And that's why I'll be writing my dissertation for my master's degree about BTS in our culture and how they are showing progress towards a new way of delivering art and giving art meaning. And so like I think it's a very intellectual thing to be a part of. I find it fascinating. I find it like
it's very stimulating.
Like, you're obsessed. Yeah, like I could go and have a class at university where my example could be BTS, and we would have a very intelligent, like socially aware and like artistic, theoretical, analytical discussion about it, because that's what they are. Like, and yeah, I also am kind of in love with them and obsessed with them and think they look amazing and their dance moves are awesome and their music is great. But there's that other side of it as well.
But that doesn't make you a bad person.
Exactly.
And nor should that make society think of you as that. For example, I'm married. I'm also obsessed with BTS. I love the way they look, their performances. I want to be as close as I possibly can by keeping track of everything that's going on in their lives.
Yes.
So my husband doesn't mind that. My husband, knows most of that himself, either because he looked it up or because I made him listen to me telling him about it. And there's nothing like wrong with that. And I also wanted to add that like, I think a lot of ARMYs, we find a way to make micro change in our lives by having the people around us accept the fact that we can love 7 Korean men and it's not a bad reflection on us. Like, for example, my office is covered in BTS posters to the point where, like, it's got, because of all the crap I bought where, like, it comes with the posters, I keep putting them up so that even when I'm on, like, Zoom calls for work, you can see all of them in the background. And I work in an office that's predominantly white, like, and very American. It's not just male, but, like, they're very... centered and focused on America. So the fact that I come in and I'm very unabashedly in love with BTS and like they can't hide from my office. And I used to be like the funny girl who, had all this love for BTS. But when they realized, because I worked at this job for many years now, that it's not going away, they just accepted it about me. They like the jokes went away, the comments went away, and they're just like, Koreans are cool, and like they'll come and talk to me about like things that they watched or some conversation they had with someone related to Korea, Korean culture, Asian culture, and I have those discussions with them now. And just the sheer fact that I was unafraid to be proud of what I like and who I support, like it made them get over themselves and just be like, it's okay to like that, like. And they came out of their own little like comfort zone. And I think they're a little more open-minded because of that. Also, I texted all of them, like all the new music that comes out. I send the YouTube link to Dynamite to like all of them. And they were like, okay, I checked it out. It was nice. So literally they're not being allowed to ignore BTS.
No, I completely agree with what you said about like micro change and things, because I do the same thing, especially about like, because I think a lot of the time, people in America, people in the UK can be very close-minded, can be very, like, ignorant, I think is the correct term.
And the media, like, the information that is available to them reinforces that island mentality.
Our education system, our media, all of it, it employs ignorance. And so, like, with people in my life, I've had people like, how can you enjoy a song in a different language, or like blah 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 blah, or like how have they become popular, and all of the typical things that you hear and you're like, that's fucked. But like the amount of conversations I've had with people where I have explained in a very logical way like why things shouldn't be that way, why their prejudice is kind of ingrained, and the amount of people that have kind of looked at it in a new way. Like, you are trying to change the people around you by supporting BTS. And I agree with that whole conception.
And I think it's very important to remember that in the West especially, like people a lot of the time, in my opinion, end up having racist or xenophobic tendencies because everything in their life and surrounding community has reinforced those types of thoughts. Especially when you don't live in a big city, you are very focused on where you live, and you know, it's predominantly one color, predominantly one
Yes.
kind of background. The educational system in the US especially is very
UK.
focused on American history, especially in relation to how we, you know,
How great we are.
and how we became independent from England, because England was terrible people who were taxing Americans. How dare they? So it's like, and then just in terms of pop culture here in America is very focused on American celebrities, American celebrity feuds, scandals, America. And the media assumes that viewers have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world, because the media has never informed its viewers of what's going on in the rest of the world. And it's just a cycle that keeps on going. And then you drop BTS in there, and the media has no idea how to deal with them. They legit don't know how to introduce BTS to an audience, to a viewership that they think has no idea about anywhere else in the world. And like, and again, I would say maybe 50-60% of the time that's true. The viewership has no idea about the rest of the world.
Yeah. And I think, again, this comes down to how they tried to market them at first as a commodity, as something that was
like a one-hit wonder, like a novelty.
Like a one-hit wonder, a novelty, yeah. And then after that, they started marketing them as someone with obsessive fans, a massive fan base, because unless they can make light of something or control something or like bracket something, it's not talked about. Like, that's the way our media works. Like, it doesn't relinquish control. And the thing is, like, you can say, well, people shouldn't accept that. People should do their own research. People should go out. But the thing is, like, from where I've seen it, my entire worldview changed when I went to university. Everything before university was very village life, like, this is our country, this is our country's history, this is the people that you interact with that are around you that are similar, blah 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 blah. And not everybody can afford to go to university, not everybody can get to university, like, and even then, like, I did a humanitarian degree, which is very much about diversity and things like that, and it really broadened my mind, and I never would have had that experience if I hadn't have gone there. And so a lot of the time people don't really know that this other thing exists, and that doesn't make it okay. Like, people should do more, but that's where those that do understand can try to slowly make waves. And
that's also why people always say that college is a liberalization. I can't say this word. It makes you more liberal, because you gain a better understanding and appreciation of the world.
Yes, your knowledge increases tenfold. But, you know, especially people that can't afford to go, like, so people that can't afford to go, and then the media tells them that, like, the reason you can't afford to go is because of all the people from different countries who are preventing you from succeeding. Like, this is a big mess, and
it's a vicious
try to talk about
cycle.
It is. It all comes from the top, and something like BTS coming in and people like ARMY trying to be a part of that, trying to change the impact and the message that is being seen in the Western world, is just so new, so important, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah, and I think it's the fandom, we educate ourselves, right? We are this ARMY is a massive entity of people around the globe, and we are one of the most, if not the most organized group of people ever, because we want new fans to come in and to be as educated as older fans in terms of culture, like different things that have happened in the world. Like, I'm just thinking of, like, for example, all the Koreans that translate BTS content from Korean to English and explain cultural references are a massive part of why this fandom is educated more than most on Korean culture. And then you have different fans who explain the impact of what BTS is doing in their culture. And I'm thinking again of how BTS performed in Riyadh, and like the fact that they stopped during the prayer, and how and all the other things that they did, and how Muslim ARMY specifically explained how meaningful that was to them, because that's usually something that is ignored, or people feign ignorance who are visiting so that they don't have to worry about it. And so like, that's another way that, like, through their eyes, we got educated on that kind of stuff, and two, appreciated how something as small as, you know, making space for someone else's culture can make people so happy.
Yes.
And
like, I do just want to say, like, obviously we can only talk about this from a white perspective, from people that live in America and the UK. Like, this is just my experience of things. I feel like it would be very different for people of color.
So to anyone who has any information that they want to share or want to give their own opinion, please feel free to leave a comment or you know, reach out to us on Twitter. I think, like, we would love to start this dialogue, and I think it's a very important dialogue to have, because the way of the future is accepting and embracing the diversity that exists on our planet. We only have one planet. We can't escape each other. Elon Musk has not invented like space travel to Mars yet. So we're stuck with each other. And I truly think that where this world is headed and where humans want to be is in a peaceful place where we can all just freaking get along.
Well, I hope so. That's where I want to be anyway. But yeah, like, I can only speak from my experience, from the things that I encounter, and from how I view things as a fan from my cultural background. And I always really appreciate being educated and told things from other perspectives with other voices. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for articles or threads or your opinion and your voice, then yeah, please let us know in the comments or wherever, just how BTS has impacted the way that you view culture, the way that you view their presence and what it means and why it matters. And yeah, I'd just be really interested to hear that, because we can only give you one side of what we know. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Dynamite is great.
Oh, it's so good. I love it so much. Yeah. We had lots of performances. We had them in the VMAs, we had them in the Today Show, we had them with the Grammys. So yeah, we had a few performances. I loved the one on the Today Show the most. Jim looked so good at that jumpsuit. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God.
I loved their choice of outfits. And then I also liked that their locale, the background they picked, was like somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah, it was so like,
I was like, that's where I want to be right now.
And I loved that they performed Anpanman as well. It was the perfect combination to go with it. It was like a similar genre. It was bouncy, it was fun. And the meaning of it is like, it was basically saying we can't fix coronavirus, we can't heal everyone that's dealing with it, we can't, like, we're not scientists and we're not able to do anything, but we can, like, just give you this music and hope that it will help in some way. And it was the perfect choice. I loved that.
You know, I really think that they're holding on to performing any of their songs for Map of the Soul 7 because they don't want it to seem like they've given up on their concerts.
And on this album as a whole, like, they don't want to just move on to the next one.
Yeah, but because they're not performing any of their new stuff, it kind of, in some sense, feels like we're stuck in time.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And
like recycling.
And like you could recycle BTS music all day long because all of it is phenomenal. But it's just it's very, as you know, as fans who are up to date with everything they're doing and all the music they're doing, this feels like a little bit of a like blast from the past from like a year or 2 years ago.
It just felt extra significant because it was something that they had specifically chosen from their discography. Like, it wasn't a new song, it wasn't a heavily promoted song. It was like, right, what song should we perform at this moment in time that will get the message across in the way that we want it to out of our entire discography? Anpanman. And it was perfect. And I love that they did that. And they did that with Spring Day as well.
Yeah.
When they performed Spring Day, they pulled that out of the catalog because it's about missing people. It's about feeling alone and losing things. And again, like, it just makes it even more meaningful for ARMY is because they can associate that with a certain time, with a certain message, and know that it was specifically chosen to be of comfort. And I love that. Also, about the Grammy performance, did you like
the Grammy press performance?
Yeah. I honestly think that, like, the people who run the Grammys are desperate for BTS to be recognized. Like, they want BTS to perform, they want BTS to get nominated, but it's not their decision to make. Like, they have to convince the voting academy to recognize and acknowledge BTS. And I feel like at this point they are I think they are literally like pushing it in the faces of everyone. They are the first act ever to be able to perform without being nominated. They have been given this thing that was literally like, BTS had the biggest selling album of the year. Dynamite broke the world record. Like, it was literally like, take notice. Because I feel like not only are they getting a load of shit, like the Grammys Academy as a whole is getting a load of shit for BTS not being recognized fairly, amidst all of the talk of widespread racism within the Grammys, but also like BTS brings in a massive audience for an award show and like a company or whatever you would call it that is losing relevance. So I feel like the Grammys are like pushing all they can to get BTS like recognized.
Agree completely. That they need them. I you're right to point out that the people who run the Grammy show and the voting members of the Academy are two separate things.
Yes.
And I totally agree with you that I think now that you mention it, and like, you know, like when they had the press performances and they just had stats, and the stats are so mind-blowing.
Yes, it was like you would be an idiot not to take notice of
but
this.
you look at them and you just go like, are the like, if you're a general public person from the general public, you just be like, are these real? Like, these seem really like crazy good. And they are.
Yes.
That's how amazing and popular and incredible BTS is. So the fact that you continue to not have them or recognize them on the Grammys, just
it speaks of your irrelevance.
Thank you.
If you're not paying attention.
Literally what I was just about to say. Yes.
Yeah.
And like, we say this every year. We're like, when you do this, you just point out that you're not a real show. You are not really awarding or recognizing people on merit. You are recognizing them based on something that's happening behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and that creates distrust and makes people not want to watch it. Because what's the whole point of those shows? They're supposed to be a source of entertainment. That's why people tune in. That's why there's performances on them. So when you do all these things that make people doubt your validity, your relevance, and your ability to recognize the truth, it's no longer fun for people to watch. It's not entertaining. And then they go, no, goodbye.
Yeah, like, this isn't fair, and this doesn't feel like an accurate thing. It feels unreliable. It feels like this isn't actually fact. It's not based on merit. It's just based on something shady, which people don't like. And, you know, something you just said, which I encounter all the time, is when people hear about BTS's stats, they're like, no way. Why, how could that happen when I've never heard of them? How could BTS have played at Wembley Stadium when I've never heard them on the radio? How has BTS broken all of these records when I've literally like only heard of one song of theirs? Like, that happens all the time, like in my life, so often, so often. And it's because like, they're not, like, the industry is not promoting them. I don't know. The industry is just not recognizing them, and
it's just like a kind of like a media blackout.
Yes, exactly. Like, and it makes no sense. Like, to the general public, like they start thinking, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But like, if they had like the biggest selling album of the year, how have I never heard of them? They're being compared to the Beatles. How have I never heard of them? Like. And it just makes you look so irrelevant and so without knowledge and prejudice. And honestly, like, I don't know, I just feel like they are making fools of themselves the more successful BTS gets. Like, and so that's on them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
and the other thing is I'm finally starting to see articles by journalists that point this out.
Yes.
Finally, you know, even though we've been wishing and hoping for these articles for a very long time, and especially when things came to a boil after all that shit that happened with On in February. But now, after Dynamite has had this amazing global impact, I'm really starting to see more articles, like from Reuters, from Forbes. Well, that's because we have our guy in our corner at Forbes. But like CNN, I think. It's just like all of these venues that were previously kind of silent about BTS's success and how the world is choosing to ignore them are finally starting to speak out. And maybe it's because
they have no choice now.
Because like, they got their number one.
Not even just that, but like, if they continue to ignore BTS's presence, people will start questioning them, will start questioning their like truthfulness, their validity. Like,
But
because
we've questioned them for a while.
we have, but the general public haven't. Like,
Why
I feel
would they
like
start doing it now?
because as BTS gets more and more successful, those people in my life that I've mentioned, like, hang on a minute, why aren't they played on the radios if they've had 3 number one albums in less than a year? Like, we know that as ARMYs because we support them and we follow them and we see that it's bullcrap. But like before, they weren't infiltrating general public areas as much. So it was just an inner age of the fandom. Whereas I feel like now they are number one on the Billboard. They are on all the major news shows, award shows, all of these things. So all the general public sees them, and then they'll start being like, well, why haven't I heard anything about them then? And I feel like that message gets across to society as a whole. And when it gets across to society as a whole, that's when you start getting questioned. Because if you're just being bombarded by fans saying you're being unfair, people just twist that into, oh, you're just biased because that's your favorite group. Oh, they have crazy fans. Like, you can't do that if it's like the whole of the industry or society as a whole being like, hang on a minute.
I would also add that it might be because we've had this pandemic and interest in things that is not the way it used to be. Like, people, you know, don't have as much interest in what, you know, the media has to say about celebrities and whatnot, because, you know, celebrities aren't going places. They aren't having a lot of projects. Everybody in the whole world is kind of hunkered down, you know, to
everyone's focused on their own lives.
Yeah, and to wait out the pandemic. And then in this kind of vacuum of anything else, you still have BTS, who whenever they go anywhere or do anything, amass an incredible amount of interest, which is what all of these media outlets are now very hungry for. So I wonder if that's helping.
Yeah, like we had this conversation between the two of us the other day about, like, I feel like with musicians, not all the time, but a lot of the time, and in general, it's a hobby. It's something that you do, like, you appreciate their music, you'll go to see them in concerts, but it's very firmly in these are my hobbies and like activities that I like to do. And so when it comes, like when something like a pandemic comes, you have to get rid of certain things. Like, if you have to work more, if you have to focus your money on like different resources, the first thing to go will be your hobbies, because that's the easiest thing to get rid of. That's not necessary. It's not like something that will have a consequence. It's just something that might make you feel a little bit worse. So the first thing to be cut out is hobbies. So that's why the kind of music industry, the like artistic industry, all of those things have been struggling during this pandemic, because nobody wants to spend money on things that aren't necessities, and nobody wants to invest time in things that aren't necessities. Whereas with BTS, ARMY puts them in a necessity category. ARMYs see BTS as, this is a priority for me to spend my money on. Not everyone, but like I think the majority is like, it is still the exact same for me,
if not
during
more.
the pandemic, if not more, because you know they're struggling, and you know that like.
And I would also venture to say that for most ARMYs, BTS is something that enriches or improves your mental health. So you specifically go, hey, if I can buy something of theirs, it's instant serotonin when I have it in my.
That's gonna make me feel better.
Yeah. And you kind of know, you're like, this is guaranteed to make me feel better. Like, I don't even have to question it. Because BTS has provided consistently high quality products that add value to your life, and that you can rely on. And that's actually something that they have. That's a specific strategy of theirs that they go into in their press conference. That this is what they want to be, their relationship between us as customers and them as providers of content and products that we like. They want us to be able to rely on them to give us something that will make us happy. That will be the high quality stuff that we can't get anywhere else. Yeah,
and I just feel like with BTS and with ARMYs, like the relationship towards them is just, it's very different. And that's why during the pandemic, when they haven't suffered, they're still everywhere. They're still getting the same amount of views, same amount of stuff on Twitter.
More.
Like they've made, and more, like they've made the same amount of money and more. Like, and I'm sure to everyone, it's kind of like, how? And I guess people just pay more attention to it. And
it's because of the relationship that they've created.
Yes.
And it goes back to what you say. It's not a passive, like, creator-consumer relationship. It's more of a, we know them on a much better level.
Because they're like friends, they're like family, they're like a part of your life. They're important. They're the ones that like you share things with, because not only do they see ARMYs as that way, but like ARMYs see them in that way. When I don't know, everyone is different, but like for me, when I'm sad, like I look to them, and when I'm feeling happy, like I want to share it with them. Like even if it's sharing it with other ARMYs, sharing it on my Twitter or talking about it with my friends, like they are an important factor in my daily life.
Yeah, and I think that's important to add too, that when we get things, when we buy things that are BTS related, whether it's one of their memories or one of their DVDs from a concert, or when we watch In the Soup, or when we buy any of the merch that you can buy related to a song or a performance or whatever, you then can go online and share it with other ARMYs. Yes. And that's part of the experience. You don't just buy it and sit alone. Like, you can buy it and hold it close to your chest and be like, look what I have. But you can also talk about it online. You can commemorate and have discussions with other ARMYs. You have people all over Twitter, for example, who do clips from various content, and they share it so people can talk about it more. Like, the fun doesn't stop at the point of purchase. That's like the beginning of the fun. Exactly.
And just the fact that they managed to reach #1 on Billboard is just
well deserved.
Going back to everything, is well deserved and
long overdue.
Long overdue, and their reactions, I've never seen them react that way to anything.
They usually keep it close to the chest, and they don't. Yeah, they're like, thank you.
But this time around, they humble bragged, they screamed, they like cried, they admitted to crying, which we never usually get to see. And I think for them, it was something that maybe they were expecting, but then when it actually happened, the reality of the situation really hit home.
I don't know if it did, by the way. Like, when they did their press, like, I think it did a little bit, like with Jimin crying everywhere. Yeah. But then I think when they did their press conference, for example.
No. I think
they were in they were in shock. They were like, yeah, it happened. Yeah.
But like in terms of like when you first see that news, like you might be like, oh, it's possible. Maybe we'll get a #1 on Billboard this time around. Maybe that will happen sometime. But then when you actually see it, like I feel like it would be so overwhelming to the point of like, holy shit, we made it. Look what we did. And I totally understand why they had that reaction. And it just made me so happy that like we were able to do that. And it made me feel like I had contributed in making them feel that way and making them feel valued and making them feel loved and supported.
Exactly.
And that just made me so happy. And I was so blessed to be able to experience that with them. And I loved it. And there was just so much celebration. BTS was on the news, which was awesome. I loved that interview so much. I loved that they were like, oh, we researched loads so that ARMY wouldn't tell us off.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone thought it was so funny. And I think it's funny too.
I think that is a example of when BTS say, ARMY will protect you and you will protect us.
Yes.
That is how we protect them, because we are this threat that if BTS are not treated well in a public space, ARMY's coming for you.
We're like the scary mom. It's like, you don't want to fuck with my kid because I will cut a bitch. And it's so funny to me that everyone is kind of like, we need to be nice to BTS because otherwise we're going to get trampled.
Hey, we need to do our job. We need to research for an interview.
I think the important thing to remember is like, it's not unjustified. It's not something that just came out of nowhere with the fandom being like, you have to treat our favorite artist right. It came from them being disrespected, mistreated.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again.
In different countries.
Had enough. Yes. Like everywhere they went, it was like they received criticism. They received poor treatment. They were like treated as outsiders. They were treated as commodities. And we were all just like, fuck this. So we had to build up our own resistance to it. And this is again another example of this, because if they'd have just treated BTS fairly from the beginning, like ARMYs were very accommodating and like kind, and then people just shat all over it. So they were like, fine, you want to play it like that? Then if you fuck us over, we will destroy you.
We'll fuck you over right back.
And, it's worked. So whatever. I'm on board. Obviously, like, there's a line.
Right. But I will also say that this is why all of the other people who work with BTS and then get asked about ARMY say ARMY is the best fandom in the world. Because wouldn't everyone as an artist want to have a fandom that's got your back if someone tries to disrespect you, if someone tries to do something wrong to you? You don't have a fandom that goes, oh, that's so bad, good luck trying to figure it out. No, you have a fandom that goes, no, feel better. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna go deal with this ourselves because fuck them.
Yes, like, exactly. And then also BTS don't have to be involved in the drama. They don't have to speak up about things. They don't have to like say anything or just like appear to be not standing up for themselves or whatever. Like because ARMY does it for them. Like they don't have to get involved. It's and when the definition of bulletproof, like they are bulletproof these days because nobody can touch them because of the amount of people that they have being like, take a step back and reanalyze what you are doing and treat my boys right or we will come for you.
Isn't that amazing? They are bulletproof because of ARMY.
Yes. And I think they very much are aware of that. And again, why they love ARMY so much and why it's not just... And again, this is another debate because a lot of the time people say, well, artists don't really love their fans. Like there's just people that buy their music. With BTS, ARMY have protected them, have catapulted them into success, have broken down barriers. And they know that. They know that they like are constantly fighting for BTS and they have people in their corner. And I feel like that's why the relationship is so different as well, because BTS have true love for the people that are doing this for them, and they know that they couldn't be without them. Like,
and I will also add to that I think psychologically, because they film so much of their lives and share it with us, and they share so much of the just sharing behind the scenes alone of how something is made, theoretically, like, erases the magic of them appearing somewhere and being larger than life. Because you see them practicing, you see them, you know, the boring side of them being in a waiting room and eating snacks or getting their makeup done and waiting for their turn, somebody sleeping in a chair somewhere. It ruins this, like, pristine image of them being, you know, like gods. So it's like, on the one hand, they are willingly bringing themselves down. But then beyond that, we get, you know, we have seen their low points. We have seen them doubting themselves, them being hurt, them being emotional. We've seen them talk to us very honestly about their dreams, their feelings, their insecurities, problems. Like, they have brought themselves down from, you know, being gods to being just performers to being humans on the same level as us. And for them psychologically to know that they've bared this much of themselves, and this is still without us even seeing every little detail. This is just what we have seen. And knowing that we still love and support and understand them anyway, that is why the love is so strong. Because they don't need to be someone who they're not. They can strive to be the best versions of themselves and feel motivated, but they don't need to pretend that they are this god, because we've seen them as human and we love them probably all the more for it.
Yes. Completely agreed. And I feel like this entire ARMY recap has just been more us talking and discussing rather than relaying news, but I've enjoyed it, so hopefully you guys have too. We'll just say a couple more. God, what's happened to my hair just now? Bloody hell.
I was just watching, I was like, okay, I don't know what she's doing, building a nest over there.
I know, it started off very like, it's slowly gone frizzier and frizzier over the course of this fucking recording. I will have to fix that during the break. Anyway.
Do we have other news to talk about?
Yeah, I'm just going to mention them very, very briefly. So it was announced that BTS is going to be on Island again with Tomorrow Together as well. And bitch, really? I called that shit.
TXT is going to be on there?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's even better, I think.
I know, it'll be so much fun. I love their interactions.
I want to see that dynamic. That seems
really because
cool.
It's like BTS, who are like long withstanding seniors in the industry, TXT, who are like
super
have
rookies.
had their super rookies, and they've had their kind of initial experience of it, but they're still in their very early stages, and then Island, who are like trainees and just about to debut. I think it'll be very interesting to see that. So yeah, I called that shit. I said
You
that
did.
maybe the reason they hadn't met them was because they were saving it for the final. And I was right. And I
Yeah.
was very proud when I found that out. But I'm just so excited. I loved that whole interaction. I really hope that we do get to see them meet this time around, because I just think that BTS are the perfect people to interact with trainees and like to be a role model. Like they're a role model to their fans a lot of the time. Like a lot of the time people look to them. I don't know. I feel like they're just very inspiring, and they're very humble, and they're very down to earth, and they're very easy to like and easy to relate to, and they're very kind and soft and comforting. So I just really hope that we get to see that, because I think it's the perfect dynamic for BTS.
I also want to have BTS have more chances to be mentors for others, because we all know that they never had mentors when they were beginning in the industry. And I also think that if they are this ideal that every Korean artist aspires to, then they need to understand that like behind the myth that you see, these legendary people that you see are humans. And it makes
who put in hard work.
Yeah, and that makes that goal that the trainees have just a little more attainable when you can see them as humans.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's just so nice to see like the big hit with all these different groups and with different stages, just because it makes me think of how BTS never really had that. Like they were kind of very much alone, and slowly they are building up a family of musicians. I just find that really great. And like you see it with them and Tomorrow by Together. Like we had
and they text each other and like, you know, like talk to each other a lot apparently.
Apparently. Like I saw Hobie talking about how like there was an article written about him giving advice to Taeyeon, and Beomgyu once said that like he'd messaged them they have a group chat that he messaged them in, saying that he loved Dynamite and things like that. And I bet they love that. I bet they love having a younger group to kind of like take care of, and because they never got to have that, I feel like they would be the best kind of mentor type people for younger idols. And yeah, the other thing that I just remembered was when you were talking about like the Islanders talking about global, being like a global star and blah blah blah. The one thing I noticed watching it is like their dreams and aspirations are very much based on BTS. Like I do genuinely think that BTS is the pinnacle of what people want to be now, whereas before it was like, I don't know, something like
Big Bang
or EXO, like being that big in Korea and having that type of career. Now BTS has kind of shown a new path. And I say this because in their interviews, like they keep saying like their aspirations is to be a global star, is to be on the Billboard charts, is to like do all of these things that only BTS have done. And I just found that really fascinating to see like the new generation of trainees are looking at something new, at the possibility of expanding, of reaching a global audience. And BTS did that. BTS inspired that feeling from young kids who want to get into music in Korea. And that just makes me so proud and amazed. And I love it.
Because you know what that does? That takes those young kids whose previous mentality might have been only focused on Korea, and it makes them more open-minded in trying to understand, how can I appeal to people around the globe? What is it that connects me with people in other places? And that mentality alone changes everything.
Yeah, and not even just that, but like I think also they can see that something even more spectacular is possible. Like whereas before the bar was here, now there's a new bar. Like you couldn't see above it before. And I guess we've spoken about this with BTS, that like they reached higher than they even thought existed, and nobody had been there before them, so it was scary, and it was like it was new territory, and they didn't really know how to deal with it. But now you have these kids that see BTS, see what they've done, and the kind of barriers that they've been able to break down, and they can dream of being able to do that now. And it's the same with like Parasite winning Best Oscar, not just for Koreans, but for like multiple foreign language films. And this is like kind of implying, I feel like I'm kind of implying here that like winning a Grammys is everything, being on the Billboard is everything, and I'm really not, because in my opinion it's not. It's not the be all and end all. You shouldn't have to dominate the Western industry to be relevant in any way. But the way I see it is from a global standpoint, like being able to go outside of your country and reach other countries and connect with the whole world. It just feels a lot more universal, and it feels a lot more connecting, and it feels bigger and better. And yeah,
it makes the world seem like you can actually see it as a globe where everything is a little more connected versus we're all trapped in our own countries and their own walls.
Yeah. It's like that Korean idiom of like a frog in a trash can.
Oh, I thought it was a well, but I like the trash can idea better. The frog in the trash can.
Yeah, I'm sure it's one of the two. But like being trapped in the well or the trash can, whatever.
I'm gonna call it that. I like that better now.
Okay, yeah. Right, so final thing is just happy birthday to Jungkook, happy birthday to Namjoon. We love you. Thank you for existing. Thank you to their parents for creating them. What a blessing it has been on the world. I'm so grateful for you being here. I hope you had the best day. I hope that you were really happy that we got you the number 1, even though I didn't contribute to that, but I got you number 3 in the UK.
I did. So, yeah. No, so like I also just really like how for JK we got him for their first number 1, and for Namjoon we got them a second number 1.
Yeah, me too.
And I do have to add that the challenge that they somehow accidentally
that was Tay, I think.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like so for Namjoon's birthday, they all kept covering their camera and shouting something into their phone and then posting it on Twitter saying happy birthday, Namjoon, and whatever other.
There must be a behind story that we'll see in 2 years in Bangtan Bomb.
Yeah, and then Tay, when he posted his hashtags were like, I want to hear ARMY's voices, like I miss you.
Sweet.
And so we were like, okay, is he saying we should do it too? So everyone all over Twitter started doing it as well, like covering your camera and just like shouting happy birthday into your phone. And I'm like, that is so brilliant.
Yes.
That's so smart.
Sweet as well, like being able to like scroll through that and hear the voices, like it gives each fan like an identity, and it makes it feel less more personal. I didn't do it. I was asleep at the time that this came out.
Oh, but I did it. I was like falling asleep. I did it and I turned off my phone. I did it in 4 languages. That was fun. It was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I saw yours.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just like the idea that, we always talk about how ARMY, at least like during this pandemic, we have each other to be in this like bubble of BTS love. But BTS, unless they're on their secret stan accounts on Twitter, don't,
which Namjoon obviously is.
Yeah. So like they don't have that. So they feel, I think, much more isolated than ARMY does. So, and that the time they feel like they're most connected is when they can physically hear ARMY and see ARMY in a concert. So right now, like this little thing where everyone all over Twitter is just shouting happy birthday in various languages around the world. What an easy way to be able to just surround yourself with ARMY and feel like you are in their love.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole sentiment of it. I fucking love that boy. Anyway, Taehyung, I got distracted now. I don't know what to do with myself. Okay, so yeah, happy birthday to 2 of the 7 greatest people who ever lived. And we love you, and you're amazing, and keep being awesome. And what wonderful days and what wonderful presents. Let's have a break, and then we'll have some fun.
Yeah. All right, guys. See you in a minute.
다쳐버린 것 같아. 너 화가 나 보여. 아른대는 game over. 만약 게임이라면 download하면 되겠지만 I guess I gotta deal with this real world. 차라리 게임이면 좋겠지. 너무 아프니까 I need to heal my medic. But I'm another star. 완벽하지 못했던 나를 탓해. Breaking my head, breaking my step. Always 그저 잘하고 싶었고 깨지고 싶었는데. Please give me a remedy. 멈춰버린 심장을 뛰게 해 remedy. 이제 어떻게 해야 해 날 살려줘. 다시 기회를 줘. Please give me a remedy, a melody. 오직 내게만 남겨질 그 memory. 이쯤에서 그만하면
꺼버리면 모든 게 다 편해질까 괜찮지만 괜찮지 않아 익숙하다고 혼자 말했지만 늘 처음인 것처럼 부족하게만 맞아 나 컨트롤 못하지 계속 아파 커싱 자과 오만 가지 내 노래 가사 멈칫 하나 말 한마디 다 내 미시감에 무서워지고 또 늘 도망가려 해뻗잡네 그래도 너가 내 그림자 커져가 내 삶과 넌 네 cosign So 내 remedy your remedy yeah Please give me a remedy 멈춰버린 심장을 뛰게 할 remedy 이제 어떻게 해야 해 날 살려줘 다시 기회를 줘 Please give me a remedy 또다시 뛰고 또 넘어지고 Honestly 수없이 반복된데도 난 또 뛸 거라고 Oh remedy 멈춰버린 심장을 뛰게 할 remedy 이제 어떻게 해야 해 날 살려줘 다시 기회를 줘 Please give me a remedy 멈춰버린 심장을 뛰게 할 remedy 이제 어떻게 해야 해 날 살려줘 다시 기회를 줘 I won't give up
Okay, guys, welcome back to Army Fun Time, and we have a new game this week, which is called BTS One Word Story. So we kind of were not sure what to do this week, and I googled fun games to play, and I came across like the game that you play where you kind of say one word, well, like one sentence at a time, and you like create a story. But I've played this with some of my friends in like car journeys where we just each say one word at a time and make a story, and it has resulted in some of the most ridiculous, like funniest things ever. So I thought we could do that, and then we also wanted to introduce like categories and prompts so that we kind of had a basis on how to make it about BTS and like what to have it about. So we are going to be spinning a wheel to decide which member we'll be talking about, and then we will be using a prompt website for aspiring writers to give us a topic to write about, and then we will be making a story saying one word each at a time and seeing what happens.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick our person. Yeah! Okay. So, Kim Seok-jin. Now we are generating a random scenario? Okay. So, your friend asks you to put the lottery on for him or her, then wins $1 million. How much do you think you should get for your trip to the shop? Write about what happens. So, fucking Jin won the lottery. Of course he would.
Okay, wait, no. So, Jin bought a lottery ticket for somebody else.
No, I think...
Because we're making the story about, like, from Jin's perspective, right?
Okay. I mean, yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Jin bought a lottery ticket for someone else, and they won, and now he needs to decide how much money he gets. Okay, you start.
All right, so let me...
Wait, this is the aftermath. This is, like, them... Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Jin
was
very
upset
because
he
never
expected
to
win.
Period.
That's the most boring story ever so far. Okay, right.
You have to continue. I put a period.
Also, we don't use that.
Oh, you don't?
No, we use full stop. So period is just the female kind. So to me, when you said that, I was like, so he was upset, period? I was like, what? And then I realized. Anyway.
Okay, so fine. I can say period. Let me start a new sentence. When
Okay. He
got
home
there
was
a
lion
in
his
room
because
his
friend
bought
it
for
preventing
Jin
from
stealing
any
money.
Okay, yep, right, makes sense. But oh wait, full stop. But
The
lion
was
domesticated.
regrettably
But
Jin
enjoyed
his
interaction.
with
The
friend.
wait, the friend. I thought you were gonna go with lion, but okay, full stop. Tomorrow
Jin
planned
to
assassinate
his
friend
with
the
lion.
he full stop. He
Grabbed
stimulant
because
it
was
I
I don't know where we're going with this.
I'm trying to think of the word. It was what is the word I'm thinking of? I don't know. Aggravating.
Aggravating to.
The.
Did you say the?
Mhm.
Aggravating to the lion.
Mhm. Yeah, that was my point. Full stop. When
Jin
gave
the
stimulant
to
the
lion
it
made.
handstands.
Oh, the lion isn't it now. Good job
Yeah.
degendering it.
Anyway.
In
Excitement.
therefore
Jin
laughed,
and
decided
he
was
never
going
to
plan
assassinations
ever
ever.
again.
The end. What the hell?
I don't know.
Do you know what we have to do? When we
What?
finish this episode, we have to transcribe our completed stories and put them on Twitter. Okay.
Okay, we'll do.
That was the most random thing. So to summarize, Jin bought a lottery ticket for his friend, and his friend won a shitload of money, but his friend hired a lion to kill Jin so that Jin wouldn't steal any of the money, but Jin found the lion to be very friendly, and so he wanted to assassinate his friend instead, but needed to give the lion stimulant to make sure that it was aggressive enough. The lion started doing handstands in excitement, and then Jin decided not to ever assassinate anyone again.
And then somewhere in there, he also found his interaction with his friend fine. But he was still going to
Oh, yeah.
assassinate him. But then he
Mhm.
changed his
Yeah.
mind. That
Yeah.
seems very Jin-like.
Yeah.
All right,
love it.
let's do another wheel.
Mm.
All right. Jungkook, are we doing a random scenario or an awkward moment?
Let's do an awkward scenario.
Okay. Jungkook gets locked in a building after closing time.
Ew.
Okay, go ahead. You can start.
It
Was
a
late
evening.
when
Jungkook,
realized
he
was
trapped.
at
Target.
alone.
Full stop. The
Doors
sealed
him
inside.
and
Locked
out.
humanity.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Consequently,
Weeks
passed
and
Jungkook
remained
in
Target.
watching
Jurassic.
Park.
No one.
He was watching Jurassic Park, no one
Full stop. No one.
wondered
What
he
did
because
he
looked
like
a
mannequin
in
talking?
full stop. Namjoon
Searched
across
space
for
years.
but
Only
when
he
landed
did
he
realize
that
Jungkook
was
in
forget
full stop. End of story.
Oh wow, we are so good at this.
Yeah, what the hell? This is hilarious.
Let's try another one. Park Jimin. Alright, we're doing a random scenario. Jimin is forging someone's signature, but it's for a good reason. What is that reason?
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Jimin.
Was
Hungry.
for.
Mozzarella.
So,
We're not even gonna, like, just he's hungry for the mozzarella, like, the cubes?
yeah,
Okay. So, he,
travelled
too,
Italy.
with,
A
forged,
letter.
from,
Bang PG.
stating,
That
he,
could,
order,
as
much,
mozzarella,
as,
he
could,
eat
in,
Italy.
full stop.
Mhm.
When,
Bang PG.
realized,
He
had,
Namjoon
instead,
travelled
okay. To,
France.
because,
He
thought,
that
Jimin,
would
go,
and the wait, I can't say two. The
mozzarella
royal.
factory.
Okay, full stop. Namjoon
Realized
that
he
wanted.
mozzarella.
So
He
forged
Bang PD Nim
signature
as well. The two
and
arrived
at
the
royal
factory
of
mozzarella.
next
To
the
place
where
Jimin
travelled.
because
What?
he went to the
Next to the place Jimin travelled.
traveled to because
No, that wasn't the sentence.
oh, what was the sentence? I already forgot what we said.
Next to the place Jimin travelled.
To
There wasn't a two.
what? End sentence.
This one's a train wreck. Should we just give up on this one and move
No,
on? Yes.
no,
What?
I like this. Namjoon is in France, Jimin is in Italy, but apparently the factory is next to the place where Jimin went to, so they're all just stuffing their faces with mozzarella. I like it.
Okay, well,
Fine, maybe we should just stop it.
yeah, this one's a lost cause.
Okay, let's do another one.
You know, you've got to throw out some ideas in the creative process.
Yeah. Ah! Min Yoongi. Alright.
Okay, awkward moment.
There. Min Yoongi carelessly trips onto their face when running up public stairs.
Oh no.
Yoongi.
Was
Very.
eager.
To.
Get.
Chicken.
So,
He.
ran
Up.
some
Stairs.
but
Forgot.
that
His
shoelaces
were.
snakes. I thought I'd throw in a curveball.
Period. At.
The
Last.
second
He.
jumped
Into.
a
Trash can.
to
Hide.
from
The.
shoelace snake things.
And.
Tripped
On.
his
Pants.
next
Day.
army
Found.
out
That.
snakes
Ate.
Yoongi
And.
killed
The.
entirety
Of.
life. Full stop.
Yoongi.
Was
Never.
the
Same.
again.
Stop.
Yeah, that's it. I love it.
These stories are so weird. Yoongi again!
Okay, right. The sequel.
Yoongi sees someone being hit in the street. What superpower does Yoongi have in this situation?
Okay.
Okay. 1.
Snowy.
Morning.
Yoongi.
Went.
Paragliding.
In.
Montreal.
Because.
Why?
Because why? Oh,
Because-
not.
Yes, exactly. When
He.
flew
Into.
a
Tree.
full stop. Living
Alone.
by
Living alone by the.
tree.
Was.
Squirrel man.
Who.
Taught
Yoongi.
how
To.
grow
Nuts.
so
That.
he
Could.
save
Squirrels.
from.
Trucks.
Makes sense. Full stop. Yoongi
Grew.
a
Big.
bushy.
Big what?
Bushy.
Of.
What?
Big bushy. What the fuck is a bushy?
Bushy. Like
A bush?
a bushy tail.
Ah, okay. I thought it was a noun. Like
Oh.
like I thought it was like a British way of saying bush.
Mm.
A big bushy tail.
Which
He.
cut
Into.
consumable
Bites.
for
Squirrels.
to
Protect.
in.
Wintertime.
Yeah, okay. We need to get back to the topic. Straying from the topic. One
Day.
a
Truck.
drove
Into.
a
Squirrel.
which
Yoongi.
had
Relations.
so
Yoongi.
swore
That.
he
Would.
get.
Even.
Yeah, I was going for revenge, but even works. Full stop. The
End.
what has that got to do with someone being punched in the street and Yugi having a superpower? I was trying so hard to go back on topic and it was going nowhere.
This is my favorite one so far.
What even was this? Oh my god. Okay, next.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Kobe.
Yo.
We already did this one. There. Hobie accidentally walks out of a store without paying for an item. Hobie only realizes this when a guard chases them down.
Okay. Beep.
Said
The
guard
stop
in
your
shoes
those
belong
to
mommy.
full stop. J-Hope, Hobie,
Could
not
hear
anything.
because
He
was
singing
to
squirrels. Okay, no, we can't combine. Singing to flowers.
next.
Morning?
Fine, period. I was hoping you'd say like next to the store or something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so period. Next morning, he
Was
watching
the
news
and
saw
that
someone
had
robbed
mummy
store.
and
Wondered
if
that.
person.
Can you hear that?
Mm.
That would be Jester.
Meow.
Sounds like you just fell down the stairs. Wondered if that person had
Anything
to
do
with.
the. This one's a fail. Move. Moving on.
I think it's hard for us to make anything where we have BTS committing crimes.
Yeah. I tell you what, for the next round, we have to do a speed round. The first word that comes into your head as quickly as you can.
All right, let's just do let's do another one. Do we want to do Hobie or do we want to change the name?
Yeah, let's do Hobie.
Okay, let's do a random scenario. Okay. Oh, this is good. Hobie buys an old chest of drawers and discovers a piece of paper stuck inside. What is written on that piece of paper?
Okay, speed round. You start.
Dear
Mr.
Jimin,
Full stop. I
have
some
news
for
you.
full stop. When
I
blow
this
roof. Oh my god.
off
Roof.
off
You
have
to
no
that
it
was
not
my
fault.
full stop. I
Regrettably
have
to
skin
the
teddy.
because
It
was
angering
my
heart. Full stop.
as
You
no
this
is
normal
when
science
fails.
miserably.
Consequently,
The
words
on
my
but
have
meaning
to
someone.
but
It's
meaningless
to
you.
full stop, the end. Okay. I love it. I love it.
Oh, okay, one more.
Yeah.
One more and then we'll stop. All right.
Okay, even faster this time.
All right. Are we doing Hobie again? We should probably spin it again.
Who haven't we had yet? I think just Tay. We've had Jungkook, we've had Jimin, we've had Namjoon. Have we had Namjoon? No, we haven't had Namjoon.
He made an appearance in Jungkook's
Yeah,
story.
we did.
All right,
Let's just do Tay.
all right, I'm gonna close out of this. Okay, let's do Tay.
Ew.
Tay goes down in a lift that doesn't stop for hours. When it finally opens, what does he see?
Okay.
Okay,
Tay.
what watched
TV.
in
Minnesota.
because
The
internet
was
down
he
decided
to
go
on
the
biggest
elevator
ever
to
exist.
when
That
elevator
arrived,
he
somersaulted
into
it,
and
cracked
his
head
on
the
floor.
full stop. When
He
awoke,
he
saw
that
wood
had
disappeared.
around.
Forests.
Therefore,
Inside
his
elevator
there
was
no
what? Full stop.
pushing
Onward.
into
The
desert.
he
Realized
that
there
was
no
possums,
or
giraffes,
in
the
vicinity.
full stop. So
He
discovered
that
life
goes
on. Okay, I guess that's the end. Oh my god, what even was this? What even was this? Is this gonna even be entertaining?
I don't know.
Oh my god, this was strange.
All right, let's take a break, guys, and then we'll come back and have some soft hours.
Yeah.
조금 팔자 들소 퍽도 분위기 디스타일 여기 Let's still live the LA 그냥 취해 마시지 오니 소스 한 손에 술잔 다른 손에 든 칠소 투명한 크리스탈 잔속 찰나기는 예술로 술이 이모 마시면 예술 You don't know what to do 내가 보여줄게 난 전혀 다른 걸 주제 아이비와 거친 나무로 된 마이크 절대 다 한숨에 나오는 소리 따윈 없다 해가 들 때까지 we're the party yeah 잠이 들 때까지 we're the party yeah Sing it 불러 다시 drink it 마셔 다시 우린 두 번 태어나 죽들이고 창작의 거통 시대의 허통 죽들이고 너와의 소통 Okay now I'm ready for show 다 마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 예술이 지불려 only yeah 다 마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 인간이 지불려 only yeah 팔자 필소 포도 위키 세상의 무대에서 무대로 대들리는 환호성 Got to see my style rock and feel so CJ 난 다시 태어나는 비로소 When the night comes When the night comes 스튜디오를 채운 dumb bass drum goes like dumb Yeah 해가 뜰 때까지 we're the party yeah 잠이 들 때까지 we're the party yeah Sing it 불러 다시 drink it 마셔 다시 우린 두 번 태어나 죽들이고 창작의 거쳐 시대의 허통 죽들이고 너와의 소통 Okay now I'm ready for show 다 마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 예술이 지불려 only yeah 다 마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 인간이 지불려 only yeah 너다 하면 전 세계 어디든지 다른 party Take 파바로로 태어나 다시 왔으가 나를 say 다시 왔으가 나를 say 다시 왔으가 나를 say 내가 아이돌이던 예술가이든 뭐가 중요하지 해 예술도 이 정도면 Grammys 새끼로분 자신과 싸움의 질서 배를 들어 올리고 원샷 허나 나 여전히 목말라
You ready for this? Are you ready to get hyped up? Come on.
마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 예술이 지불려 only yeah 마셔 내 술잔에 다 빠져 미친 예술가에 하나 둘셋 인간이 지불려 only yeah 팔자 필소 포도 위키
everyone, welcome back. And we have our last segment of the show where we talk about soft things that you have submitted to us that make you soft over BTS. And we just get all emotional. So what do we have this week?
This episode, we will be talking about all of the lovely and adorable comments that BTS leave us on Weverse.
Yes. And we have some examples of these. I mean, I don't know how we're going to go through this, but I feel like we'll probably look at some of these examples, read them out, and talk about them as we go. Yeah?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, so just in case there's someone somewhere who doesn't know what this is, Weverse is the app that BBHot debuted last year, I think sometime in the summer, where it's kind of like a little bit set up like Twitter. Where,
it's like social media almost.
Yeah, where essentially, I think the idea is that you go in there, you pick your artist, and you go into the artist universe. And in that universe, you have like basically, essentially like a Twitter feed of like messages from everyone all over the world, and they can use hashtags, and you can tweet at each other, not at each other.
There's a trending page.
Yeah, and BTS know that is like it's their fans, so they go and they read through people's comments and pictures and GIFs and leave their own comments, and they can also talk to each other. And every time BTS post on there, we all get notifications that say that they've been on there, so we can go see it. And then besides
and you can put videos on there now.
Oh, really?
Oh, they can, yeah.
They can, yeah. I don't know if we can.
I'm not sure if we can, but they never used to be able to, but they can now.
Yeah. And so the idea is that this is kind of like a safer space than social media at large, because in order to go here, you have to download the app, you have to sign up with a username and password to use this. So if you are doing anything abusive, Weverse can immediately ban you and your IP address, and you specifically cannot go back on. Versus,
and it's like monitored by them themselves.
Yeah, so they have control over it, versus something like Twitter, where they like to post on Twitter, but if there's anything inappropriate going on, they really don't have any control over it. It's Twitter who has control over that, over like the admin stuff. So over time, it's actually been very interesting to see BTS become more comfortable with this platform, because
some more than others.
Yeah, it used to be like a bit awkward, and I will say like it was very awkward in the beginning, because it's like being friends with every ARMY in the entire world, and so everyone's posting at once, so everything would just kind of get lost. But so I wonder how it was for BTS in terms of like reading through our stuff and understanding who to respond to and what they could respond to.
Yeah, I think it would be a really weird feeling, because honestly, like, the premise of Weverse is wonderful. Like, this is a space, anybody that's on this platform is an ARMY or is BTS. Like, that would be so great if you were going about your everyday life and you were like, if I go here, everybody that I encounter will be an ARMY. Like, that would make you feel safe, and like people would understand you, people would like, you would be among friends, you would feel like comfortable, blah blah blah. So I think that's kind of the basis of this app is, but I feel like at first it appears as just kind of a bunch of random things in one place, and it's just, and it's very quick, like you can't
it refreshes all the time. There's a million posts, and if we get a notification that the members are responding to something, everybody goes and starts posting more, because you're hoping that BTS will see whatever you post now. So I think they're still working on that.
Yeah, I think it's all in the like development process, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I think the aim of it is simply to create a social media interactive account which is just for fandom and artists. Like in a kind of, what would you say, like safety,
in a controlled environment.
Yeah, like a safe space or whatever.
Yeah, because the thing I was gonna say is like, if they post on Twitter, like if I'm BTS and I'm posting on Twitter, you have a bajillion followers, and not all of them are ARMY, and there's plenty of reporters and journalists too. So whatever you say is very easy to be picked up by anyone outside of the fandom and spun a certain way. Versus on Weverse, because it takes extra steps for people to get there, you're going, like, there is like a barrier that eliminates a lot of like people who would just casually go look at BTS stuff. And
plus it's not designed, like, I feel like if a reporter started commenting on things from Weverse, it'd be like, well, why are you on there?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So from BTS's perspective, it is a safe space. It's a place where anything they say, anything that they joke about with each other, even when they just talk to each other on there, it's all going to be well received because they're in a space where people have come specifically to see that. And so in that warm environment, in it where they're just surrounded by like a nonstop wall of love directed at them throughout all of ARMY's posts to them, I feel like it opens up a softer side of them, and they really just start being like really soft in all of their comments. Because they also know that if they're responding to one person, everyone is seeing it. Despite all of those, you know, pros and cons of this app, I really like having this kind of access to BTS because where else? They're not going to make these kinds of comments on Twitter.
Yes,
they don't feel safe, and they feel like they would be directing hate and crazy people to, you know, shit on whoever was getting that attention.
Plus, just thinking of like Tay, for example, when he says, "Oh, I want to play games with armies. Like, I'll pick this amount of people." Like, there are certain things that you can only say to the fandom. Like, you wouldn't say it if there was other people around, or like maybe there's like inside jokes, or like you want to share something with someone. I don't know. I really like Weverse. I think there are a lot of kinks in terms of how armies might interact with one another, and in terms of like what you should post and things like that. But in terms of BTS using Weverse, I think it's great. It has a lot of like elements to it, which is great. It's a great space, and I just light up when I get that notification on my phone that one of them is on Weverse. Like,
oh, I usually wake up in the morning and I'll have my phone spamming me with like 20 notifications. I'm like, all right, who has gone off in the Weverse? It's usually Tay.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
But I remember like I remember I was coming home from university one day, and I was on the train. I was just getting on the train to come home, and like my phone was like ding 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 over and over again. And it was that time when Tay and JK were on Weverse just like spamming one another, and it made the whole of my train journey home just so enjoyable. Like, it was just there. I was able to see all of the interactions.
I will say that one of the best things about that app is when they engage with each other. And they what was that? There was like 1 or 2 nights where they were drunk. And they were like messaging each other on there, and all of us are just sitting there like, oh, okay, yeah.
No, that was the same day.
That was that day?
Yeah, because Tay and Jungkook were like interacting with one another.
Oh, yeah, it might have been that. But there's like another time where that's happened, and then it's like I like when one of the messages in there, and it's just like I feel left out. Like, what happened?
Or like, can you stop because my phone won't stop buzzing? That's usually Yoongi.
But I think that it's again, we would never get that on Twitter, on Instagram, because on here, this is, if you notice, the one place where they have individual profiles.
Yes, as well, because it's like it's a thing for ARMY, and it's like you join the platform, you have access to the 7 members. Like, it's still one place, but like they each have their own thing like that they can use. And I don't know, I love that it's there as well, because I feel like if I was BTS and I was having a bad day, like I could go on there, and like from their perspective, going onto Weverse is an app full of people and posts of those that care about you. Like, whether they talk about what they're doing in that day, ask a random question, send a letter, like whatever it is, it would just make you feel so much less lonely, and I feel like it would be very comforting. And I think that probably is what it provides for them, and that makes me really happy. Like seeing Tay when he was like scrolling through it and had like a massive grin on his face.
Oh yeah, when he was on doing a V Live and he was on Weverse.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's really nice, and I think it's very hard for them to be able to communicate with armies because there's so many. And even though it's still the same with Weverse, like at least they can reach some. And that's the other thing about Weverse is like you can interact with individual people. Like they comment on individual posts. They don't do that on any other socials. Like, and this is a way for them to at least reach out and like touch the other side of things.
I will say that I think this is a platform, Weverse is a platform that encourages ARMYs to be a little more, I don't know, just one-on-one. Like, you know, like the post that Namjoon commented on where someone was just like, everything hurts, I'm tired, I'm sad, and he's just like, everything goes. Like, I think I agree with you that there are still things that we're all working on in that app and trying to understand how to interact. But I do think that this is one of Big Hit's maybe attempts at trying to bridge the gap between the fact that you have 7 men who are humans who live in Korea who can't be everywhere at once and who can't be with everyone, no matter like how much they might want to. So this is a virtual way to connect people. And I think over time it's growing. Like I know recently Weverse, you know, added the whole profile thing. I don't know anything about that profile stuff yet, but
I have no idea either. But yeah. And like they have a lot more groups now on there. And the reason I like Weverse is that it just feels like a way to text BTS. Like even if they never respond to you, like you can send them a message. If you're thinking of them, you can write about how your day is going or what you're doing. Or anyway, let's talk about their comments, their comforting words. The first thing I think I want to say is just, it just makes me so happy that they come to Weverse and like they try to interact with people and they try to interact with ARMYs and they try to be there in another kind of way. Like, and this is where all of these comforting things I think come from, is that like, they're just so sweet. They're just so caring. Like they really do care. They really want ARMYs to be happy and like, it just makes me so soft.
And when they especially try to speak to us in English, you can see them trying. You can see them wanting to connect, and the little things they do, just it's touching because that's like it's them trying to do the best they can. And I'm just thinking of like we just cycled through it in the slideshow. That time Tae couldn't sleep and he was messaging people like, I can't sleep, and then people were saying I can't sleep either, and he was trying to give people advice, and he was just saying like, if you don't go to sleep, Bang PDNim will come find you in your dreams or something like that.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and it's like little things like
he
that.
wrote a bedtime story.
Yeah, just stuff like that. It's like it's like they say in Boy With Love, it's the little things.
Yeah, and I feel like this is just like a lot of people find so much comfort in Weverse, and I definitely do. Like if they write a response that I feel benefits me, like it feels like they said it to me, because I feel like every ARMY on there is their own individual ARMY, but is also like a representation of ARMY, like because they're speaking to ARMY when they're replying to posts. Like they can't get to know the person behind the post. They just know them as ARMY. And so all of the things that they say, all of these beautiful things and comforting things, like whilst directed at an individual person, correlates and is ingested and felt by like multiple ARMYs, and loads of people like put them as their headers or like I've seen the posts and they make me feel a lot better. And
I will say that what they say on Weverse doesn't stay on Weverse, and part of it is necessary because when they respond to people in Korean, the translations are horrible. So you have those translator accounts on Twitter who screenshot them and then translate them into what they're actually saying. Thank you, by the way, to those translator ARMYs. You are like the only reason half of us understand anything of what's going on. But so like they do get shared around on Twitter, but it's not, it's more like they're memorialized on Twitter, where people make them their headers, where people like the time where someone said something, I can't remember what the original post was, but then Namjoon replies and he's like, don't worry, this world has Namjoon.
At least this planet has Namjoon. That's like a catchphrase now.
Yeah, and then everybody says it, and it's like, I wonder if he was I feel like, was the original post something to do with driving? Like,
yeah, it was something about, I think the original post was saying
like, oh, I failed my driver's test, and he's like, don't worry, at least this planet has Namjoon. And I think he meant it in the sense of like,
oh, you're not as bad as me.
Yeah, but the rest of us took it as like, you're right, if the world has you, like,
okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like,
and this is a lot that we see scrolling by. We see a lot of these that like, I'll be there for you. I'll help you. I hope that you're happy. We're supporting you. Like, keep going. Like, all of these kind of words of encouragement is like, we feel it in their music and we feel it in who they are, but like, this feels much more like just directly telling you words like, we're here for you and we care about you and we're rooting for you. And that just makes me so happy, and it's so lovely for everybody to feel, and I feel like that probably helps them too, to be able to provide that in some sort of way. I love this one when he said this, you'll cure my pain so I'm not afraid to suffer, and he actually wrote this one in English. Yeah,
and when they actually take the time to write something in English, we know how worried they get about writing things in English, and they want to.
Tay said that he was using a translator app, I think.
Yeah, but still, like they're trying so hard, and it comes across, and it's touching specifically because I think what you said is like we hear their feelings, their sentiments through their music, through interviews, but this is way more direct.
Yes. It feels like they're talking specifically to you.
There's no middleman. There's no journalist saying, this is what they said to ARMY. No. They're right here. They're talking to me. I heard them loud and clear.
Yeah. Like, you know that they are writing something and they're sharing it with you. And it's very personal. And I guess it's similar to VLive in a sense. Like, if VLive is like having a conversation over the video, it's like, but even more so because this directly includes interactions from ARMYs. I don't know, I think that they are such sweethearts. Their words on Weverse are always so touching. I think the love is just very real and very honest and open, and they always give advice and kind words, and they don't have to. Like, I feel like they get as much benefit from it as we do.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole point that like BTS only have limited ways that they can interact with ARMY. Like, even if they have such a massively devoted fan base, they themselves don't get to participate and engage with us in that many ways. So having a platform like this where they can speak to us directly, and even if it's a response to one person, it reaches everyone who has that app. I think it helps bridge that distance a little bit.
I agree. I want to go write something on Weverse.
Yeah, let's go do that.
I don't do it enough.
Yeah. Shall we end this episode here?
Yeah. Let's all go write ourselves a nice soft post to BTS on Weverse.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Been trying to tell you this. I was supposed to tell you this. This is all for you. 꽃길만 걷자 그런 말은 난 못해 좋은 것만 보자 그런 말도 난 못해 이제 좋은 말 있을 거란 말 너는 아프지도 않을 거란 말 그런 말 난 못해 그런 거짓말 너넨 아이돌이니까 안 들어도 부리겠네 너네 가사 맘에 안 들어 안 봐도 비디오네 너넨 힘없으니 구린지 분명히 했을 텐데 너네 하는 짓들 보니 조금 있으면 망하겠네 Thank you so much 너희들의 자격지심 덕분에 고딩 때도 못한 증명해냈으니 박수 짝짝 그래 계속 쭉 해라 쭉 우리끼리 행복하게 good yeah good
진짜 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 내 손을 잡고 웃어 괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 서로 손을 잡고 웃어 그래도 좋은 날이 앞으로 많기를 내 말을 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 그래도 좋은
널 위해 우리가 함께이기에
모두의 네 그림자 속에 나 어둠 속에 나 아픔까지 다 보여주기 싫었지만 나 아직 너무 서툴렀기에 웃게만 해주고 싶었는데 잘하고 싶었는데 이런 날 믿어줬어 이 눈물과 상처들을 감당해줬어 나의 빛이 돼줬어 화양연화의 그 꽃이 돼줬어
괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 내 손을 잡고 웃어 괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 서로 손을 잡고 웃어 그래도 좋은 날이 앞으로 많기를 내 말을 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 그래도 좋은 날이 훨씬 더 많기를 내 말을 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋
믿는다면 하나 둘셋 하나 둘셋 믿는다면 하나 둘셋 하나 둘셋 믿는다면 하나 둘셋 하나 둘셋 믿는다면 둘셋
괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 내 손을 잡고 웃어 괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 서로 손을 잡고 웃어 그래도 좋은 날이 앞으로 많기를 내 말을 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 그래도 좋은 날이 훨씬 더 많기를 내 말을 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 믿는다면 하나 둘 셋 괜찮아 하나 둘 셋 하면 잊어 슬픈 기억 모두 지워 내 손을 잡고 웃어